Now at noon, a Fishers teenager pleading guilty to a deadly crash. What his attorneys are asking for and what the victim's family has to say about it.
Little light snowfall around today, but tomorrow morning could be an interesting one before we get to what's going to be a bitter weekend.
And some high school students are facing consequences after multiple walkouts this week. How their efforts to protest ice are turning cold. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us at noon today. Dustin Grove here with meteorologist Sean Ash. We're starting with the weather because we've got another chance of snow before we headed into some different kind of temperatures.
Oh, this weekend is going to be bitter. Yeah, we've been kind of focusing on Friday morning. For some, it will be nothing, but if you live along I-65 and points east and northeast, it could really impact your morning commute and possibly your school day. If you have kids in school, there will be some school disruptions. Let's get into it here today, though. It's just cloudy and boy, it's chilly too. You know, keep in mind our average high, by the way, is in the upper 30s. We're up in upper teens to lower 20s right now. A lot of cloud cover. There's not a whole lot on radar, but there's been a few flurries. And there may be some pockets of lighter snow which may coat the road. I'm going to hop on our NDOT camera here in a little bit, and about 15 after the hour, we'll see what's shaking up here near Lafayette. Most of this stuff is not going to impact your travel for today. Temperatures are going to struggle to get into the middle 20s here, and then all eyes will be on tomorrow morning, with the caveat that sometimes these clipper systems can overperform. This is Future Track 13, and if you were watching us yesterday, we've essentially had I-65 and northeast in play. That really hasn't changed. If anything, I think it's shifted a little bit to the southwest, okay? So bottom line here, from about 5 a.m. tomorrow morning and before noontime tomorrow, there's going to be some areas that get a very quick ½ inch to locally 2 inches within that blue shade. That would include the metro area as well. And there may be some localized pockets of near 3 inches before noontime. It's the combination of the timing during the morning commute, the temperatures in the lower 20s, and snow rates at times that could be ½ inch to near an inch an hour, Dustin, that has us a little concerned for some slower travel tomorrow morning. We'll have the rest of the forecast here coming up in a few minutes.
All right, I know you'll be watching that closely, Sean. Thank you. To the headlines now, I want to let you know what we've learned about this serious crash this morning on the northwest side. This is on 34th Street near Dandy Trail. You see two cars there with front end damage. They're actually off to the side of the road, almost in the snow. Metro Police are still investigating. Of course, we'll update you just as soon as we learn more. Now to the latest on the Hailey Busby case. The FBI today asking for patience as they investigate her disappearance and death. The FBI has taken the case over from local police. We've told you about that. It started in Fishers and then ended tragically, as we've all learned, across the state line in Ohio. Police say they believe the 17-year-old was killed at a short-term rental property there. 39-year-old Tyler Thomas is charged with pandering obscenity involving a minor and tampering with evidence. He is not charged with killing her, but investigators say Thomas confessed to burying Hailey's remains. They say the two met online. Investigators say the case is complicated and will take time. Let's show you a statement from the FBI here, saying in part the investigation is being driven by the pursuit of justice for Hailey. Due to the many locations and jurisdictions involved, as well as the ongoing nature of the investigation, there is not a timeline for when more information can be released. Thomas is due in court next Tuesday. An Amber Alert was not issued for Hailey Busby at the time of her disappearance. Now the woman who helped create that system is pushing to change the definition to prevent it from happening again. Carolyn Alvey helped create the Amber Alert system back in 1996. It's only issued for a child who police believe at the time was abducted and in imminent danger. There also has to be enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction for an alert. Alvey says Hailey's case proves the alert needs to be expanded.
It's time for state of Indiana to update that based on where we are with technology. The Amber Alert 30 years ago, we didn't have any of that. We didn't even consider what that technology could do in terms of the criteria for law enforcement.
Indiana adopted the Amber Alert system in 2003. Since then, there have been 186 requests and it has actually been activated 70 times. To the courtroom now, where a Fishers teenager is pleading guilty in a crash that took the life of an HSE grad and rising college football star. Attorneys for Trey Williams are requesting a change of plea hearing to multiple charges from that high-speed crash last year. Mason Alexander was killed in the crash after it went off the road, struck a tree, and then burst into flames. Mason's family says they've seen the plea deal and say Williams will plead guilty to reckless homicide and will get about 3 years in prison. Prosecutors and attorneys have not released details of the plea, though. We spoke with the family shortly after the change of plea was filed.
We're not looking for vindictive justice. It doesn't paint a good picture that a young man's life was taken and you are moving on just like nothing even happened.
The family says they still have questions about the investigation. Mason was a star athlete at Hamilton Southeastern High School and had just started his college football career with the Pitt Panthers. Williams' change of plea is set for March 11th. Hundreds of Central Indiana high school students took part in peaceful walkouts throughout the week, protesting ICE. We've been showing you a lot of those protests. Well, now some of those students from Southport High School are facing suspensions. Our Matthew Foltz spoke with several of those students who say school leaders never told them they'd get in trouble.
This was the scene Monday morning outside of Southport High School, as dozens of students walked out of their classroom and into the streets as part of a protest against ICE.
It's tragic. People are being taken away from their homes and being ripped apart from their family.
Junior Zed Osalum, Ava Miller, and Derek Stanley were among the dozens who participated.
I did this because I really wanted to see a change in the society, and I knew that that wasn't going to happen through working through the system. I knew that we needed resistance, and I thought this was the best way to do it.
But what they didn't know was the trouble they would get in for walking out of class.
I was very disappointed to hear that the disciplinary action was suspension. I feel like it was very uncalled for, and to a degree, I understand that there needs to be consequences. That comes with protest. You can open your history book and find that. But suspension seemed like a little bit of a reach to me.
The students say they're now facing 1 day of out-of-school suspension. 13 News obtained emails sent out to parents from the high school principal. The first email went out shortly after 11 a.m. saying that the students would just be marked as unexcused for the day. But later Monday night, the principal sent out another email saying there was, quote, a clear line between expression and endangerment. It also went on to say that students who left would face consequences in accordance with the student handbook.
We looked at the handbook. It didn't say any specific consequences for it, so it was very much just a lot of rumors circulating, and we never really got just a fair explanation or just a chance to explain ourselves or anything like that.
While the school believes stepping out of class was wrong, these students tell me they don't regret it.
It's a privilege to be able to use our voice, and we're going to use our privilege in any way we can for those who can't speak out. So as long as we have that First Amendment right, we're going to keep doing whatever we can to show that.
Reporting in Southport, I'm Matthew Foltz, 13 News.
Matthew reached out to Perry Township schools about the suspensions and guidelines students have to follow. They say they are not commenting on disciplinary actions at this time. We also know that Avon High School is planning an anti-ICE walkout this afternoon. That's scheduled for 1:50. Neighbors in Lawrence are banding together at the State House. Still ahead here at noon, we're breaking down the key topics they're talking about at a mid-session town hall. Sean?
It's cloudy and cold right now, but it is going to be a snowy start tomorrow morning in some areas. We'll dive into that, and the 7-day has the warm-up. Hang tight, it's on the way.
And new details emerging in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. What investigators say they found just outside her home as their desperate search continues.